One of the scariest things, honestly,
Yeah.
as a comedian who also like struggles with depression and stuff like that, I saw that movie and I was like, fuck, I really hope that what I think is happening is happening. Like it made me question. I was like, fuck, am I the Joker? Because like by the end of it, I was like, am I that fucking guy? Like, do I actually know what reality is? Like it was crazy. Ready to do this?
I think so. You may have some coffee.
All right.
This is like my teeth. Do you just always just carry beers in your pocket or something?
Yeah. You don't carry pocket beers?
I wish I could carry pocket beers.
What do you see? I'm like, yeah, it's your old.
After the haircut.
All right. Might be a little warm by then.
It might be.
I had a built-in cooler in my back pocket for pocket beers.
Is that like a prototype by Yeti?
It's a Ben prototype. And I don't think it's going to be approved for civilian use.
Nothing. How's that taste?
Fantastic. This is honestly one of my favorite beers ever. This is like one of my go-tos.
I usually like to keep a little selection of beers. I usually always buy their what is it?
The varieties?
Variety pack. Yeah. Because it's like if I'm going to somebody's house, it's like
It's a good people pleaser because it's got a little bit of everything.
yeah. And I usually go for almost every variety pack that there is, as long as there's something that's like a light pilsner, and there's at least one IPA.
Right.
I know I've reached most of everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like nothing, like I love IPAs, but some variety packs are just variations of IPAs. Yeah.
Which is cool.
Which is great. Yeah. But if you're trying to go to a party and you want to please a lot of different people, you need a little bit more variety in the style of beer than just different IPAs.
I would love like a 24 pack that kind of has the whole spectrum of a brewery.
They actually, Carbuck does that.
Yeah, I think I've seen it. I just think that breakdown of that is more stuff I would not probably drink. You know, if I get stuck, like if I'm having a party, I'm like, I'm just going to buy like 2 packs or something for coming over for a birthday or whenever. Then I always know it. I end up getting stuck with like,
Yeah, the shit beers that nobody wanted.
I'm just not a fan of like stouts or like dark beer stuff. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, for
The
sure.
only thing I like to drink that's dark is what's in this cup. Here, I have a espresso. This is like 4 shots. So I just started the 4-shot drink. I'm guessing I've already drank 3 of the 4 shots. Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Now you're ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. I've had my 4 shots of Flavor Country, so I think I'm ready to
To get a haircut?
ready to get a haircut. Dude, I'm I'm beyond ready for a haircut, dude. I'm looking. You inspired me to finally just go like embrace the curliness and like be comfortable and have a nice hairstyle.
Good.
And I love it now, but also my hair grows so fast that it's like the sides are just insane now.
Check this out. Be thankful that your hair grows fast. I'm pretty sure there's gentlemen and women out there that wish their hair grew
Yeah.
fast, or in some cases, I know some guys wish their hair grew at all.
Yeah, that's a good point.
A lot of guys I know who have like longer, like there's a few of us who have longer and long beards,
Yeah.
but I find there's a lot of bald heads with beards.
Thick beards.
Yeah.
And long hair with like shorter
Yeah.
clean cut. Yeah.
It's the yin and the yang follicle management.
Yeah.
You know,
You can't go crazy with it, dude. You can't.
I mean, you could. There's definitely some heavy metal bands out there.
Yeah.
Long beard.
That's exactly it. Is like eventually you just look like you play bass for Lamb of God or you're in a biker gang.
Or yeah, it's like or you Mark from Suicide Silence, who, by the way, is a phenomenal musician, and he has the beard and the hair, but the dude can shred.
I mean, metal. It works great in metal. There's a lot of long hair and big beards in metal.
Perhaps that idea of Samson and getting his strength from his hair,
Yeah.
maybe the talent of going bananas on the fretboard
Yeah.
and on the drums. Maybe there's something to this.
I mean, you cut my hair right before I went on the road.
Yeah.
For 3 weeks, and I felt like a new person. Like, yeah, I had never really embraced just how crazy and curly my hair was until you showed me how awesome it can actually look. Went out with like something feeling good every day. You know what I mean?
It took me a lot of years to just be able to feel comfortable like wearing my hair. Now,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit older than you.
Mm-hmm.
I think quite a bit older than you. I don't know how old.
I'm 33.
Okay. So I got some years, almost 10 years.
Okay.
Let me just give you a little bit further advice. Like
Yeah.
at anybody's age, like if you can start feeling comfortable in your skin at any age, right? This is better than never.
Yeah.
But when I see individuals and they're fighting what their hair does,
Yeah.
it's like I was there.
Mm-hmm.
Can we like I found this in us a lot more happiness, a lot more
Yeah.
regularity, and dude, it's like so much better.
For like the last few years of my military career, I had this barber in El Paso because like I wanted it straight. It was just easier to maintain, and they finally loosened up. At that point, I had loosened up the haircut regulations to the point where I could have it pretty long at top and have it like nice and straight edge cut with back. And I always loved that. Like my hair got super, or at least the longest it had ever been. Now again, the actual maintenance of getting my hair to that point was a pain in the ass.
It's a trade-off. It's like your hair's longer and you may have to spend more.
It's easier day, right? It
Or
was
styling day to day.
yeah,
Or you're going in and getting your hair cut all the time. And that's a whole nother level of maintenance.
yes,
What's the word that gets used a lot? Like, well, going for a carbon neutral, right?
Yeah.
I'm going for a net zero.
yeah,
That phrase to me is bullshit because
yes,
you can't have net zero on anything.
Yes.
There's always some offset, right? So like, yeah, your hair's short all the time. Well, now you have to cut it all the time.
yes.
Okay, now your hair's longer, but it's going to require a little bit more day-to-day styling. It's a give and take.
That's what I like about the style that you kind of created for me was that it's like day-to-day styling for myself. Like in the mirror, I got to prep it every day and kind of like put a little bit of product in there, but I'm not having to like go sit down for a haircut like once a week like I was, you know what I mean?
Personally speaking, I also like to cut with the grain, right? Someone's hair works, right? So
Yeah.
the hair goes in a particular pattern. I'm not going to fight that. I want to,
Yeah.
and if the hair moves in a certain way and curls in a certain way, I want to embrace that. I feel if I have to fight to style it, you're going to have a battle every day. So if I can use what your hair's doing and kind of trick it,
Yeah.
right? It's like that whole like two negatives make a positive in math.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm doing something that may be technically not correct as a hairdresser, but it actually works with the situation that it's involved that it's involved in.
Mhm. I was really, impressed. I mean, we did this once before, and
Shit.
it didn't work out. So,
The first 20 minutes were brilliant.
man, we had some great
Minute 21, it feels like I was like watching like a slightly overdubbed movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And then by minute 22, we're in like full old school Japanese horror film.
Yeah.
A Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
Where the mouth and the sound, not even like at all.
Not even
It was,
close.
yeah. I mean, that was the idea of like, all right, you'll get a microphone. I'll get a microphone to capture this. And then a microphone to capture me specifically.
Yeah.
I was like, I have this plan, 3 microphone setups. 2 of the microphones are going to a digital recording. The other one's going to go directly to the camera.
Yeah.
Guess what? I was an idiot actually how I looked it up. I actually thought about this. If I had hooked up this microphone that's capturing us right now to the camera and not to the digital recorder, I would have been able to salvage the audio. But instead, I put the microphone to capture us. It was so bad for you and I.
Yeah.
It was like, I can't use this at all.
Yeah. That's all right. I mean,
It's all right. Hey,
Well,
but you know what?
learning experience, and
You live out. Now they always say you pay for the education you didn't attend.
yeah.
I paid for it. Okay, so this is haircut number 2.
Yep.
All right, Ben. What is working and what's not working from this current spot? What is it that you want to continue moving forward? What elements here?
I mean, I love, the sides are just obnoxiously long.
Okay.
For me.
Okay.
Also, it's summer, man. So it's like, it's just getting hot. My head gets hot.
We have a lot of hair.
I got a lot of hair.
You have
It's
a lot of
real thick. It grows real fast. So
Yeah.
definitely clean. I want the sides to be minimal. You know what I mean? But as far as the top goes, I mean, I really like the messy, curly look.
Yeah.
It's probably a little too long at this point. Maybe bring it down a little bit just so it fits with the sides. Yeah. Outside of that, definitely want to keep like the curl and the mess on top.
I have a question about the curl and mess on top. Your words, not mine.
Sure.
With that,
I don't know the terminology.
I'm using their terms.
Okay.
Like if you call it the thing that annoys the shit out of me, I'm gonna call it the thing that annoys the shit.
Got you. Okay.
I'm using. I'm not gonna call it. If I say like, oh, you mean the hair at the mastoid process?
Yeah.
You're like, what?
What the fuck are you talking about?
You'd be like, oh, you mean the thing behind my ear? Yeah, I hate that. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Do you feel that the curl could be more defined, or do you feel like do you like the density of the curl, or do you want like more openness of the curl? Like you like to see a little bit more air through there, if that makes any sense.
No, I like a lot. I like the density.
Okay, so you don't want to like go through and remove bulk away.
No, not necessarily. Yeah.
Awesome. At this rate, if you get this getting a little curlier, I would recommend possibly for Halloween goes one of the Ghostbusters.
Okay.
Because I think it's Spangler has that little thing.
Man, it's been so long since I've seen Ghostbusters.
Dude, I watch it.
Which actor was Spangler? Was that Dan Aykroyd?
No,
Not Bill Murray.
nope.
What was who is the?
It wasn't.
What's his name? He was also in Stripes with Bill Murray.
Yeah. He wore the glasses.
Fuck. Yeah. What was his goddamn name?
And he died.
Did he die?
Yeah, he died. And that's where like the whole was it Reitman? Because he filmed it. He directed that movie.
Which one? Ghostbusters?
Yeah, right. Ivan Reitman directed it, but you're gonna have to Google this on that.
You know what's great about these aprons is you can scratch your balls on camera and nobody's wiser until you say something. I just got it deep.
Yeah. I didn't even ask you this. I need to ask you this. What did you do to get your style today? Like what was your plan?
So my routine, and I picked my routine is after a shower, or if maybe I showered the night before and I'm getting ready for work in the morning, I get it damp and then like dry it out for the most part, so it's not like soaked. And then I have some product that I put in.
Okay.
And I just use a little bit, rub it through my fingers, and then just kind of mess with it.
Yeah.
And just kind of fuck up my hair until it looks, messy, but still kind of, not controlled. Yeah. Controlled chaos. I kind of let that sit. The product's a little heavy for me. I got to use maybe a little bit less. It doesn't collapse. It just looks super gelled. And I like the more of a natural look. So after it hardens a little bit, I just kind of rub my fingers through it, kind of get the oils from my hand into the gel, and then it just loosens right up.
So what that is called, that's a technical term actually. It's called a cast.
A cast.
Think about it on your
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's going to provide shape and form.
Right.
And once that dries and hardens, they do something called breaking the cast, which is exactly what you're doing. Actually, it's not about moving the oils through from your hands.
I just assumed that's what was happening.
Logical assumption is about breaking that cast up. So like on my hair, I'm breaking it up and then it gets softer because it was allowed to harden. That's like the shape stays there, but the frizz goes away.
Yeah.
The curl is more defined.
I actually learned that technique from the mustache.
Yeah.
Because I have to wax my mustache, but I hate the super waxed look. It looks like there's a bunch of goop in there.
Yeah.
It's just not a pleasant look. I want a big mustache that looks like it just happened this way. Yeah. I mean, I put a bunch of wax in there in the mornings. And then I break the cast. I make a cast, and then once it's hardened, and then I just play with it throughout the day. And eventually, I still got a little bit in there that I can tell but I did the same thing with my mustache. So I was like, I bet you the same principle applies to my head.
It does. Thought about just growing out the middle part and going full Van Gogh.
Nah.
No, you don't want to go Renaissance Dutch.
Listen, I look ridiculous enough. I
don't think you look ridiculous at all.
If we do it would just straight down like that, I think
you have to grow out the flavor saver.
I'm not getting enough pussy as it is. I'm not trying to shut down more the little that I am getting.
There's a fetish for every.
That's a good point. One thing with the mustache, I will say, is girls either love it or they fucking hate it. I'm either like the sexiest man on the planet or just the biggest creep and dirtball. It's one of the two. And I can usually tell within 5 minutes of meeting somebody which one they think.
Yeah. So at one point in my single years, I started asking a lot of my female clients of different ages, what was it that they found attractive in a guy? Here I am, like late 20s, right? So like 27, 28, right? Had a horrible relationship, right? To get a restraining order against an ex-girlfriend, right? So I'm like, I'm reevaluating everything I've done in my life. Like, am I doing something that's attracting the wrong person.
Sure.
Turns out, people who are not very stable, I was viewing that behavior as exciting, and they viewed my stability as stability.
Yeah.
But then they'd be like, that's boring, because
Yeah.
I wasn't like catering to their chaos. Right.
Right.
So I'm like going through the self-evaluations, what is it, that you like, or what do you feel like when you're out there, what are you looking for? I got the craziest answers, by the way. We're talking from women from like college all the way to been married like 40 years. And I was just asking, like, what was it that attracted you to the person you found, or what is it you're looking for when you're out in the dating scene? Because the single clients and I would all complain about we're single life together. So I was asking, what is it you're looking for? I would not date clients. Ultimately, I ended up marrying my client. This is my wife, which by the way, full disclosure, we met through her best friend, who was also my friend, and that's how we met. So it wasn't like I was like, "Hey Ben, what you doing tonight?"
He didn't just follow her out to her car.
No,
saying
no.
you're coming home with me.
No,
Whether you like it or not.
I was down for like 6 years before we even like decided to jump over that hurdle into dating.
You were cutting her hair for the sessions. Wow.
Yeah, totally. Here, it's handsome. No, I'll put it back here.
Playing the long game, huh?
No. She was in a relationship for most of those years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I never, because I don't believe in.
Yeah. Never
I
considered.
don't believe in what is it? What's the word, like shitting when you sleep?
Yeah.
That whole phrase. I was like, I'm not going to do that. I had already like dated 2 people previously that I worked with, and I was like, okay, well, that has the same ending.
Bad way.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't bad. It's just like, you start every relationship with the greatest intentions, right?
Right.
How it ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was interesting. Like, you'd have some girls who like, I only like to face super clean. And I remember one girl, I had to go like a little bit more scrum. She was like, she's like, that is just way too much. Like, it needs to be, if that guy does not shave every morning, he is not going to be my boyfriend.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. To your point,
Yeah.
there's people who love mustaches and big beards.
I didn't realize there was that the mustache was such a draw for some women until I had one.
Yeah.
And then there were some girls that were like, that mustache is everything I've been dreaming of.
I always had like hair for, longer hair for a long time. This has been the longest it's been in like 10 years. But I've always had varying lengths of like this.
Yeah.
High school, my hair was down here. My old roommate, Alex, shout out to Alex. He shaved his head one day. So this is the best part. We both went to the same high school out in Temecula, and we're both hairdressers. Like, I knew his sister. She graduated with me. We both loved heavy metal. We both did playing hockey and watching hockey, right? He's a Chicago fan. I'm an Anaheim fan. It was wireless. It's okay. In our place, it was like, best sports team wins.
Yeah.
But so he like walks out of the bathroom. He like had buzzed his head. I was like, I've never done that. And it was like one of those summers. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to shave my head.
Yeah. Like bald or like buzz?
Like a buzz. Like a buzz. Like if it was a clipper, it was probably like a 2, maybe a 3, right?
Yeah.
Because I never had short hair. Girls that I knew in an acquaintancy circles were then flirting with me because I had a buzzed head. And and then I started thinking like, oh my gosh, they would always date these dudes. They have like super short buzzed hair.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is and why that happened.
We guys have the same, everybody has the same thing. We have like these things that we're just like, for whatever reason, that's what we're into. Not everybody agrees, but
I think if you lined up amongst the girls I did, there wasn't really any like physical common traits. Maybe height was probably the one thing. Outside of that, it was like,
I'm the same way.
yeah.
Outside of just all had fat asses. That's my one common factor.
Well, but I think it's at this point, everyone's with the language, and we should just let the cat. So you do a lot of stand-up comedy, and you're a stand-up comedian. So right now everyone's like, dude, this guy's just vulgar.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
We should have started off with that. I do stand-up comedy.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm going to start cutting, and I'm going to use your wave to kind of dictate how your hair moves.
Okay.
All right. So that way, instead of me making it like perfectly imprecise, where then like the twist and turns of your curl may not work well. You do stand up.
Yeah.
And because of you, I actually met somebody else who was on who did this with me. It was Dean. And
I believe Maverick. You also got
Maverick. Yeah. Maverick. So I got you guys, and which has been great. You were actually supposed to be episode number 1, except for the whole film debacle.
Yeah.
By the time you were back on tour, you had to put out some fires when you got back.
Yeah.
And which only made your hair get longer.
Yeah.
And now we're finally able to do this, which is great because I filmed a number of these
Great episodes.
Exactly. Where now I feel like I have like the whole system now, like where the audio or the video.
Yeah.
I'm actually in some ways glad that first episode didn't happen the way I had initially planned. I left that filming with so many more questions, which was just basically realized like I just need to get better asking certain questions.
Well, a lot of times you don't think of the question until later. That's when you're sitting by yourself and you're like, why the fuck didn't I ask this?
Yeah. So like the thing I really thought was crazy is like, you're telling me about how young you started comedy.
Yeah.
And you started comedy out here in Texas.
In Austin.
I couldn't remember. Are you born in Austin?
No, I was born in Bloomington, Illinois.
Okay.
Actually, but
That's why you're a Cubs fan.
that's why I'm a Cubs fan. Yeah. But outside of that, I don't have any connection to the state of Illinois.
Okay.
I mean, my family moved here when I was like 7 or 8.
Okay.
And when I say I don't mean I don't have any connection, like I still have some family there, but I don't, like when people ask me where I'm from, I always say Austin.
It feels more home.
Yeah, I mean, I was so young when I got here, like, and I grew up here. I have very few memories of the state of Illinois. But yeah, the Cubs thing stuck. But outside of that, I mean, I consider myself to be from Austin. Not born, but definitely raised, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started comedy here in Austin when I was like 11 or 12.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
Okay. 11, 12. I mean,
Yeah.
are we talking the talent show? Are we talking like middle school talent show? Ben Warren up here to do his stand-up comedy at 11. I mean, 11's like what, 5th grade? 6th grade?
I don't know. I think I had done probably actually it matters. I think I started like just telling other comedians jokes at like family reunions, just random shit like that. No, I started like telling my own material at comedy clubs. At the time there was really only 2 comedy clubs, and that was Capital City Comedy Club and the Velveeta Room, which are both still around. I started there. My mom would actually take me to do open mics with like the grown-ups on like Thursday nights.
You're 11 years old.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
So,
And like, yeah,
let's just say 12.
12.
Let's round up. So you're 12 years old. You're in a club that's clearly an 18 and over establishment.
yes.
Your mom is taking you to the comedy club because
Yes.
it can't drive at 12
Yes.
unless you're joyriding, which would be a really fun twist in the story.
Yeah.
Did she wait in the car? Why you did this, or did she have to be your chaperone in the club?
No, my mom was always there. Like I needed,
You needed like
I needed an adult, but also at a certain point, I had gone frequently enough, and like everybody knew me, that I probably could have gotten away with being there by myself because everybody kind of took care of it.
no one wanted to watch the preteen get blitzed and they're responsible.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't really interested in like drinking or drugs. I don't think at that point anyway. When I was, as a kid, when I was doing those, I was just obsessed with comedy. All I could think about was just telling these jokes and how I was going to tell them.
At 12 years old, what's the language you're using? Is the language you're using that of somebody who's an adult? I mean, are you dropping like F-bombs? Are you so in the C word on stage?
Never the C word, the N word a lot.
The what?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I was like,
no, I make a joke. But no, my mom hated that because I just cussed all the time anyway, like just in my normal speech.
and your parents were like totally cool with that. So like he's expressing himself.
No, they were not happy with it. And my mom hated that like I cussed so much. So she would always get mad at me when I cussed on stage. But like, I was just, especially if I got comfortable, like when I'm comfortable, like cuss words will just slip out and I won't even realize that they came out.
I understand that. I feel kindred spirits with that. I realize how much I cost
Yeah.
until
You're in a position where you're supposed to keep it together, and you're like, oh, I just said shit like 6 times in that sentence.
What happens is I think subliminally my mind goes into like, we're going to test out the audience with these lukewarm curses.
Right.
So crap. Yeah. If there's no flinching, we're going to say the word shit. And if eyeballs get wide enough to do this, then I know I've reached my limit.
I mean, as like coming from a comedian's perspective, calling crap a lukewarm cuss word is hilarious.
Well,
Because lukewarm cuss words for me are like bitch, ass, and shit. Those are the lukewarm. And then you get into like the fucks. And I should probably stop cussing so much on this. But
no. First off, one of the whole things that when I started this is I didn't want to go through and have like any sort of like censored. I wanted people to be truly who they are.
yeah.
Because the original concept of the podcast that I had back in 2018 was really just to try and find a way to not recreate, because you can't ever recreate anything, right?
Yeah.
It's like, how close can I get if I actually just had a camera and a microphone hidden while I was cutting hair with somebody in the slot?
Right.
I realized that would never work.
Yeah. So you fucking recorded me while I was talking about my divorce, you shithead?
Yeah, well, no, exactly. I don't want to go through and do that.
Yeah.
That's sort of like the thing of like, I wanted people to be as close to themselves as possible. I don't want the microphone and the camera to get in the way of somebody being who they would be if that wasn't there.
Right. Yeah.
So if you need to use language, I'm okay with that because I just believe in like, let people be themselves.
I mean,
I may not use the language, but you're allowed to do it.
Right. Yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
My mom hated the cussing. And I think it was just because I was a child. And like, I'm sure she was worried about what she looked like. Not only is she bringing her son to these bars to do comedy at the tender age of 12, but she's letting me drop fucks and shits and whatever on stage. Because my mom was, I don't, didn't care about a lot. Let's just say that. But on stage, she had like a problem with me, like constantly using cuss words and stuff like that.
Do you think it was because it's just now out in the open as public and it's like your behavior as a reflection of her parenting?
Right. I think that's exactly what it was.
Like, it's like, I don't really actually care what you do. I just care that now I'm being perceived as the bad parent.
Yeah.
And that upsets me.
Exactly. That's it.
But I don't really care privately if I'm a bad parent. Not that she's a bad parent.
She was a terrible parent.
Okay. Well, I jumped the gun not saying that. I'm just saying
my mother, loved me and did what she thought was the best. I mean, had a lot of shortcomings as a lot of parents and people in general do. But
she loved you enough to take you to comedy clubs.
Yes, I was thinking about this the other day, but I did a local morning radio show at like 13 or 14. It was on KLBJ, which is like a local rock station here in Austin. So I got booked to do this morning radio show. It was the Dudley and Bob show at the time. I don't know if it's still around. I think like one of them is still doing the morning show, and then they have a new comedian that stepped in because one of them left or something along those lines. I'm not sure if it's still around, but it was a big deal, right?
Yeah.
I got booked to do that, but I got sick. I was like, stayed home from school sick because they recorded it like super early in the morning. The original plan was my mom was going to take me to go do this radio show and then take me to school. Talk about the ethics of this later, but my mom was like, you're not missing fucking KLBJ.
You can miss school.
That was exactly right.
But you cannot miss this opportunity.
It was their 4th of July special. They had like all these like musical acts. It was me and one other comedian. It was like this big, huge, like they had a contest. Like it was a huge production for their show, and they do it, once a year. I think it was called the Star Spangled Bash or something like that. But I got booked to be one of the comedians. So that was exactly what happened. And I remember she called my dad. My mom and my dad are divorced, but I was living with my mom. So she called my dad, I think basically just to tell him. I don't even think it was an ask thing because she didn't want to him to hear me on the radio and then be like, this fucking cocksucker called out of school today. What the fuck is happening?
And is that how your dad would have spoken?
Not exactly. No, that's how I speak. That's what I imagine was going through his head, but he was probably more like, he was probably more upset at my mom, was like, this dumb bitch is taking my son.
Wow.
Because they were not fans of each other. I mean, I was genuinely sick, but I went and I did I did like a 5-minute set or something on the radio show. You know, went really well. They asked me to come back, blah, blah, blah. And then, yeah, my mom took me home and I just slept on the couch drinking fucking juice and being sick for the rest of the day. She still didn't take me back to school.
I say I support the moves. I think that my parents probably would have done the same thing.
You think so?
Yes. Like it can, because the opportunity outweighs the attendance record.
Yeah.
How many successful people have not finished high school?
Yeah.
And how many non-successful people have finished high school with perfect attendance? The other thing I feel too is like, this could be something that could be like a massive career launcher. How great would it be to be, you know, not even out of high school and already have this successful career ahead of you?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because I grew up in Southern California, you hear about friends, you know, booking commercials, being on a TV show or doing a guest star appearance. And so they're already out of school and they're just doing some tutoring, or the child is super gifted in athletics. And so they have to pull them out of school because now they need to train 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And now they're just cramming, you know, I remember reading something like, if you homeschool, you can get an 8-hour school day done in like 3.5 hours or something like that. Yeah, pretty phenomenal. Yeah. So it's like, if that's like your ticket, yes, you're like, you already found as your calling, or as like one of the guests I had, Joe, that talks about your dharma, like your purpose in life, right? Like if you found that makes you so happy and you're like a teenager and you're having these opportunities, it's like you take it.
Yeah. Listening to Lil Wayne talk about, I'm pretty sure it was Lil Wayne. I hope I'm not fucking this up. I'm 99% sure it was Lil Wayne. He's talking about how, I mean, when he got signed, he was still in high school. And I could be fucking the details of this up, but I believe he even had like a platinum record or like a platinum single or something while he was still in high school. His mom like saw him struggling to like study for his GED. He was just trying to get his GED done so he could just stop with fucking high school and
Get out.
go, and fucking just focus on music. One day she just came into his room and was like, "You're not getting your GED. You're done as of right now. Like just do it. You just go. You're already doing it. Just go and finish this." And I mean, he ended up being massively successful. You know, he was a brilliant guy, and
I've always liked him as a rapper.
I have too. And I mean, Hustler Music might be one of my favorite songs of all time. And like, that's one of the songs that when I put stuff, like when I put on my, player, put my music just on shuffle with all of my albums ever, when that one comes on, it's like, dude, stop everything and get the subs up to 11.
You know what I love? And I read this, and I don't know if it's for sure or not, but I read something that like he doesn't really write a lot of his material down. He just,
he doesn't. Yeah.
Freestyles it. And,
I'm sorry. It's so funny because I was just thinking about this. Like, I just saw a video of Lil Wayne, and they were talking about this, and the guy that was interviewing him was like, "You have one of my favorite lines ever in a rap," and he starts reciting the line, and Lil Wayne goes, "I said that."
For me, when it comes to like a lot of music, the tone of someone's voice is either inviting or pawing.
Yeah.
And there's bands that I don't care how great they are, how musically gifted they are, the singer's tone is something shrieking for me, right?
Yeah.
But there's something really funny about his voice where it's like, it's not a conventional tone.
No, but it's so like soothing.
Yeah.
Like it can be really like, depending on his catalog, like he can be really, really soothing, but he can also just make you want to punch a fucking wall. But it does the same. It's wild how well he can do both.
Because he's not getting like aggro like with DMX.
Right. Yeah. It's not like barking and fucking
DMX. When he was alive, he should, what they should have done. This is what I've always felt like DMX missed. There was in the late 90s and early 2000s when like Limp Bizkit and Korn and all this rap and metal fusion was going on. And it started long before that with Anthrax and Onyx back in the 90s, right? And even
then Aerosmith and Run DMC.
and then, but that again, that's rock and rap. Now we're like about metal and like the more rap to me is like a more aggressive version of hip hop. That's why that's my answer. Like you have rock and you have hip hop, and then you have, because of language and aggressive beats and music, now you have rap, and then you get like into like your subgenres, Dirty South, and, and then you have like your like sound rap metal. DMX should have done DMX with a backing band of Korn, and I'm hoping now with AI
they can make that happen.
They could just, all they have to do is just take like Rough Riders Anthem and just be like, if the backing band was Korn.
I mean, people have done this a million times, but if you have...
his voice was more brutal than half these metal guys out there. Like I say that with a lot of love. I love metal. But like his natural tone was like that. Like, you know who the closest guy I think who like naturally has that gravelly like tone was Phil Anselmo from Pantera. Like you could have put DMX a good chunk in and had him singing most of the Pantera songs. And it would have been just as brutal.
Pantera is actually coming to Austin, and I'm going to try to go.
I would love to see it. I've only saw them once with the original lineup.
I would have loved to see. I never saw the original lineup. I did get to see Damage Plan.
I never saw Damage Plan.
So I got to see Dimebag and Vinny, and then I saw Vinny once more when he was with Hell Yeah. I think was that the name of the band?
It was.
It'll be cool to see Phil and Rex. It'll be cool to see, you know, half of the lineup doing Pantera songs. And obviously the two guys they have in place of Dimebag Darrell and Vinnie Paul is I would say in no way disrespectful. They got two of the best, most respected guitarists and drummers in metal.
Not even just for the time period, like
just in also just in general and history.
Well, Zach and Dime were buddies.
So it's like
you got your best friend up there, like paying the respects, doing you justice.
Right.
And I've never seen, I've seen Zach while Black Label.
I saw him with Ozzy.
Okay. So I never saw him with, I was there when he played with Ozzy at Ozfest, but I think by that time I was already in party mode, backstage or whatever. So I never saw Ozzy with Zach. I always saw him. I saw Ozzy with the original Sabbath Light. I'm just going to ask you this. When you saw Damage Plan, this is all I remember of Dimebag playing. You know, there's that children's cartoon show, Fraggle Rock. Where like it's all the hairs moving around. It was like Fraggle Rock with guitar. Running around on stage like a Muppet, right? But somehow all the notes he was playing were perfect. Like, I don't know physically how he was able to run around, move his hair around, go crazy, he was literally running around. He didn't ever really sit in one spot. And he's playing all this stuff that, you know, me sitting down and like playing it like half speed, I'm like struggling. And he's just running around. So like that, like he's breathing with his fingers.
It's funny that this came up because I just very recently rewatched the Behind the Music Pantera.
Oh, I haven't watched that.
It came out forever. Obviously, Behind the Music hasn't been around in, I don't know, like 10 years or so. But so I just recently rewatched it, and they were talking. They actually brought this exact thing up, which was when they first started the band, Dime was the most timid on stage. He was the most shy, kind of reserved member of this supposed to be hardcore metal band, you know? And, and they wanted to be more intense. And they couldn't figure out how to get Dime involved. And then one day somebody was just like, let's just get him fucking hammered. Fuck it. Nothing else is working. Let's get him fucking pissed drunk. He's either going to be amazing or he's going to be awful. Let's see what happens.
I mean, when you're pissed drunk, those are your two options. You know, so it's like snowboarding. You're up or you're down.
And I think this was also at the point where they were actually starting to go on the road and stuff. So it wasn't like they were still a garage band. They were just finally starting to pick up steam and traction. He was like, I'm not used to all these fucking crowds and shit. And, was, too shy. So they got him fucking hammered. I don't remember what band member it was, but they were like, everything sounded good. Like the music was hitting, and he seemed to be playing really well, and so we weren't really worried about it. And then at one point, I look over and I'm like, where the fuck is Dimebag? He's playing, I can hear it, but where the fuck is he? And they look into the crowd, and he's in the middle of the mosh pit, just wailing his guitar around and hitting every single fucking note. And they were like, yeah, we need to get him hammered every single time before we get on stage, because he's fucking magical when he's drunk.
He was something else. I mean, there's some really good podcast with, and I don't remember which podcast it was, if it's the one that Rob Flynn, the Machine Head hosts, but I remember it was Machine Head, Rob Flynn.
Yeah.
And Des from Cold Chamber, Devil.
Yeah.
And they're talking about both, because they have both of those bands that opened up for Pantera.
Mm-hmm.
And they have some of the greatest Dimebag stories.
Oh,
So I have to look it up. I think it's Rob Flynn's podcast and Des is the guest.
okay. I was gonna say, I gotta tell you this story. It's actually, so I recorded. I went on the road.
Yeah.
Went on the road for 3 weeks. Did a tour. I still very much consider myself to be a young comic. I've been doing this long enough that I have material that I'm fucking sick of, and I'm ready to retire. Why not just record something and put something out there? I recorded me doing an hour. I'll probably end up cutting it down to like 35, 40 minutes. I ended up recording that recently. It's going to open with, and this is how I wanted it, but my buddy that I was on tour with opened for me at this show and then brought me up. But I was opening for him when we were on this tour. Well, that's he just dropped a special as well. Shout out to Aaron Cheatham. He's got a special called The Family Man on YouTube. Go check it out. He was such a great mentor for me. Like, he's been doing comedy so much longer. He really mentored me throughout this tour. And like, I'm a very quiet person for the most part. And
I would never actually say that. Every time I talk, like from the minute I first met you, you were always super chat.
I enjoy socializing, but I also very much enjoy being in my room by myself. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's a normal thing.
Okay. Well, I mean, on this tour, like, I was, I honestly felt like the old man on the tour, and I was the youngest guy on the tour. Like, I just want to be back at the hotel. I want to go to sleep. I want to wake up tomorrow, Throughout this tour, Aaron, again, I was opening for, and he was, just such a great person to learn from and spend so much time with. He used to tell me all the time, he'd be like, Ben, like right before I go on stage, he'd be like, hey, just remember, you're a fucking rock star. All these people, they look at you like you're a fucking rock star. You're on tour right now. You're a fucking rock star. Go out there and fucking act like it. And I'd be like, all right, and I'd go up and do my set, and, it never really kicked in, and then never really registered. But one night, he gives me the same spiel every night before I go on. Hey, you're a fucking rock star. Go out there and act like it. Went out and I had the best set of the tour. I mean, I just murdered from start to finish. Even Aaron was like, fuck, he was like, I didn't want to follow you after that. I had to do an hour after that. I wasn't sure they had energy left. I'm not even trying to brag. I just had such a fucking killer set. Sometimes you hit, and I hit this night, and there's these young kids, early 20s, and they come up to us after the show. They want us to sign stuff. They want us to take pictures. They're like, hey, we're going to go. This is like a Friday, Saturday night. They're like, hey, we're going to go back to our house, and we're going to fucking party. We really want you guys to come. And in my head, I'm like, again, I'm the old man on this tour. I don't sleep. I'm like, I'm tired. I have my eye cream on. Yeah, like, I'm tired. The last thing I love drinking and partying, but with 22-year-olds, I think I'm going to pass,
So I had up as a challenge to see if you could still hang.
Dude, I know I can't still hang. Well, listen, I can hang, but the way that they drink and the way that I drink is very different. Okay. All right. They're sprinters. I'm a marathon runner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We party till 1 or 2 in the morning at this place. We're doing we're shotgunning beers. We're playing these drinking games, doing shit fucking kids in their 20s do.
I was gonna say you were with 20.
Yeah.
They need games to get drunk.
Yeah, exactly.
I never understood that. I'm like, I just want a beer.
Yeah.
Want to play a drinking game? Like,
yeah.
No, I don't need a drinking game to get as hammered as you're going to get.
Well, yeah, I can do this on my own. We can just have conversation,
Yeah.
I mean, they brought out a bottle of tequila from Mexico that had a scorpion in it. And instead of giving everybody shot glasses, it's just get passed around and everyone's just ripping it.
Everyone's getting mom.
Yeah, everyone's getting fucking shit cam. You know, we finally are just like, all right, it's time to go. We got to go back to the hotel. I mean, they are fucking like cheering us on as we, you know, leave, and they fucking telling us how much they appreciate us coming out and all this stuff. And I walk out, and I'm feeling like a genuine celebrity for a second. And so we walk out the front door. This place had like a sunroom front porch. Okay. So there was like 2 sets of doors, right?
Yeah.
One to like the porch and one to like the actual building or the actual house. So we're walking through the porch, and I open the porch door, and I look back at Aaron, and I was like, is this what it feels like to be a rock star? And then literally as soon as I said that, I turn around and walked face first into a glass door. Like instantly. And we fucking pissed ourselves. We were laughing so fucking hard.
This is what it feels like to be a rock star?
Bam!
Yeah, if you're in Spinal Tap.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, you can't write comedy like that, dude. It was, I mean, we were howling laughing as we were leaving this place. So the actual, the little thing that I recorded, it's going to start with Aaron telling that story, and then he brings me on stage, and it's going to be called Rock Star in quotations.
That's funny. Are you done with that one?
Yeah, I'm done with it. Thank you. This podcast is going to figure out how quickly I drink beers.
It's a 2 limit. Two beers.
Yeah. So a two drink minimum. Two drink. That'll yeah.
Yeah. I'd rather not let you get super sick.
No, I'm not gonna.
You know, maybe I do want to wear it's just a whole bunch of people and we're just getting shit faced or something. But I don't really think that's really my podcast vibe, you know?
No.
The things that I like doing is interviewing people by asking questions when they're cutting hair, because everyone just seems to be a lot more chatty.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just like the sensation, like the Clifford, the trimmers going on the neck. Some people like that, or just the sound, white noise. I mean, it's just
the trust also, you know what I mean? Same thing with like a tattoo artist. When you have like a good stylist or a good tattoo artist, it's, you know, you go there regularly because you trust this person. And if you trust them, you're going to be more open to kind of conversation and, you know, talk about things that you wouldn't talk with, you know,
also other makes permanent.
Yeah.
You don't like it. 6 weeks, you're fine.
Yeah.
You know, like 4 weeks. Shit. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. I mean, I don't have any tattoos, so I can imagine what that trip would like. I just don't know what I'd ever want to get permanently on my body.
I have quite a few tattoos. I had gotten quite a few bad tattoos. So it was once I found somebody that I actually like really trusted and did like I knew would always do a really good job. It's like one of those things where I'm not letting anybody else touch a needle to my skin. There's no way.
I know some people who just get like funny tattoos, you know,
yeah.
Like they just get tattoos and they don't really care. They use their body and tattoos as like scrapbook.
Yeah,
which that's actually really cool.
Yeah,
when I mean this, it's like not like a bunch of junk tattoos.
No,
it's like I got this with my friends and we're all here and blah blah blah. This is a remembrance of such and such. This is where I was from. This is like with an inside joke with a high school friend.
Yeah,
like it's like one of those things. Like I can imagine at some point, like if my dad wanted to get a tattoo and both of my sons are old enough to get tattoos. I'm not going to let a 6 and 4-year-old get tattoos now.
Yeah.
Maybe when they're 8 and 6.
Yeah. 8 and 6. That's free game.
Yeah.
Time for a chess piece.
Exactly. It probably would be a Power Rangers if they're still into what they're into.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, look at my Coco Melon. And
let me tell you something. If I was allowed to get tattoos when I first started wanting tattoos, I would have like 6 drowning pool tattoos. Okay. Because I was a big drowning pool fan in my early teens.
If like my sons wanted to get tattoos, like all of us would get one. I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
But I just can't imagine anything I'd want to. And then everybody know who's ever had a tattoo with their spouse.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, I know they're out there. I know there are people who are still together and they have each other's tattoos.
Yeah.
I've just never met them.
Yeah. I think
so. I would not do that.
I'm one of those people as well where I have tattoos where the image itself holds meaning, and then I have image, like tattoos where the image itself doesn't really have meaning. You know, it's something I liked, but it definitely represents a period of my life. Yeah, it's like a scrapbook in a way. You know, the image doesn't necessarily have to fit the memory. It's just what I was doing at that period of time. Yes. But then again, I also have stuff that like the image does actually mean something. Like my all-time favorite band is the Dillinger Escape Plan. So I have like this whole sleeve. I don't know if this whole, how do I get into the camera? This whole guy right here is just like a play on the Dillinger logo with like a bunch of their album artwork mixed in between.
What band are those guys also in?
They've all split up now, and they're all in different places. Ben Weinman, who was the guitar player. Well, that's the other thing is there's really only one true original member of the Dillinger Escape Plan, and that was Ben Weinman, because they had a different vocalist, and then a lot of different backup guitarists, bassists, and drummers over the years. I mean, the number of people that have played in the band is it's a pretty long list. They also consider Greg Puciato or Puciato, I don't know how to pronounce it. That was the lead singer. They consider he's not necessarily an original member, but he did the bulk of their work.
Okay.
Ben Weinman is now playing guitar with Suicidal Tendencies, and Greg has done a million and one things. He had a project called Black Queen, which was kind of like a goth rock band. He was a backup guitarist and vocalist for Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains.
It was great.
This is amazing. I got to see him live once. He's done a lot of solo work, but now there's actually a permanent band in the works with him that they released a single. They're called Better Lovers. It is basically it's Greg on vocals, and then the guitarist, bassist, and drummer from Every Time I Die.
Okay.
Guitarist from Fit for an Autopsy. The single is just fantastic. If two bands could like really mesh up like that, as far as like Dillinger and somebody else, or Every Time I Die and somebody else, like I feel like they're such a perfect match. It's really good, but they've only released a single. I don't know if from what they've said, this is a permanent project. This isn't like a passion project or like a one-off thing. I'm excited to see what comes next from those guys.
So I want to back it up. So
Okay.
You're doing comedy, you're like skipping school, sick, to get your on-air break stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to jump like years ahead.
Yeah.
You end up in the army.
Yeah.
Now, if you're doing all of this, how do you go from like, it seems like your career is like getting there, you're doing your stuff, the local comedians have embraced you. They're like, look, they're taking you on your wing because they're like the young little brother.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, look, we can show you the way. Here's what's going on.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I'm going to put all of that on hold right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what was how did that happen?
Well, it wasn't patriotism. I'll tell you that.
Okay. Well, hey,
And there's nothing against that. But I'll say,
a lot of stress because I graduated in 2000. So there's also a lot of people I knew because a year later was 9/11.
yeah.
So there's a lot of people I knew who were my age group or a grade or two younger. Next thing you know, they're like, there's like this couple that have been together like the whole high school year or whatever. And then you see them like, hey, where's such and such? So like, oh, they're over. And like, it was like a thing. It felt like that.
Dude, especially at that time. Yeah, I was always really interested in military stuff from a young age. At a certain point, I grew like getting into my prominent teen years. I just stopped wanting to be funny because I was just angry. Home life wasn't great, so I just started getting really angry and not wanting to be funny anymore. And I started, I was actually the lead singer for a hardcore metal band for like a year or so. I don't remember how long it lasted.
Do you have any recordings of it?
Ooh, I don't know if they exist anymore. But definitely nothing I can pull up right now.
But I mean, but I mean, later on.
I can definitely try to send you something. It was genuinely one of those things where I was graduating high school and I felt stuck. I didn't know what the best plan of action was. I didn't know what I was going to do. I said, fuck it. I've always kind of thought about it. I mean, this will give me an opportunity to go to college, to get out of the nest, get the fuck away from where I'm living right now. I just did it one day. I talked to like a bunch of different recruiters, settled on, ended up landing on the Army. And I remember when I came home and I told my mom that I had enlisted. She fucking freaked out, got up and said, "I fucking knew it," and then just stormed off and like locked herself in a room. And I didn't see her for like 2 days. So that was it, man. I needed to get away from home. That seemed to be my only like for sure this can happen right now option. And I said, yeah, let's go. And then I ended up just enjoying it.
Real quick. Are you enjoying the length on the sides? Do you want to go a little shorter?
I could do a little shorter. Yeah.
All over or just like more down?
More down there. Yeah. Yeah.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to hear the story. I don't want to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
I can keep cutting. You can keep talking.
Yeah. So I ended up like enjoying it. I kind of found a part of myself that like I didn't even know existed. I was happy for a while, and then I started getting older. The infantry world is not easy on the mind and or body. It's rough. In my early 20s, it was fucking awesome. As I got older, I was like, fuck, man, I'm going to have to do this for another 10 years. Like everything that I've done already, I'm going to have to do that all over again. And I say that because at the 10-year mark, they give you two options, which is to reenlist until retirement or get out. That's it. Those are your two options. I was at the point where I was like, you know what? My fucking body hurts and my mind's not doing good. I'm going to take my chances.
You mean take your chances with civilian?
Yeah. I mean, because look, the military is like an abusive lover. They might not want you, but they definitely don't want you to think that you can do better. So when they're ready to cut ties with you, they'll cut people, no problem. They're done. That's what they will. I mean, it's part of the recruiting tech or the retention technique. Is I remember hearing it all the time. Like whenever they would talk about new things coming up or like things that were going on in the Army, what you needed to do to get promoted and all this stuff. Because I was an NCO, a non-commissioned officer, so a sergeant or above.
I don't know the ranking.
Sergeant is an E5. As an enlisted, you start as an E1 and you work your way up. And then I made E6, which is staff sergeant, really young. I was like 22 or 23.
So I must rose up.
I made it pretty quick. Yeah.
Why do you think that was?
I think I just enjoyed it and I thrived in that environment. I liked the toughness. I liked the challenges. I liked being in leadership positions. I loved the competition of like who can raise the best soldiers. I mean, who can, I liked watching my guys actually like grow up and like be successful leaders themselves. I liked the environment a lot. It was just,
leadership of it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's actually a recurring thing I've heard from a lot of ex-vets, or I should say just cutting their hair, is the thing that they, that they'll always share, and it's same thing, is that they just love the, one, they love camaraderie.
Yeah.
And then the other one was that they just loved that it taught them how to be a leader, because it's not like these like, corporate CEO leaders or leadership classes. They said, this is real leadership. This is like you are responsible for these people's lives.
Yeah.
It's a different level of responsibility. And they said, no way to understand it unless you are actually in that. Then you realize that my choices, like we feel like, every choice is a consequence.
Right.
In this area, the consequences, the stakes are really high.
Yeah. And, a lot of people don't realize this, but when you have soldiers under you, every aspect of their life is your responsibility. At a normal job, if I have a drinking problem or I get a DUI or I'm beating my wife or I'm in a massive amount of debt because of a gambling problem or I'm addicted to pills or whatever the case is, in a civilian world, all horrible things. Right. Yeah, exactly. I was using the worst examples for a reason.
You hit them.
Yes, sir.
You bullseyed in on all of the worst things.
Also, all things that I had actually
You had
had actual experience with, not like personally, but like had soldiers that had all of those issues. So it's a long career in the civilian world. If I have any of those issues, like they don't care what happens after you clock out. They don't know. It's not their problem. But I mean, down to like if I have a soldier who's not cleaning their room well enough. You know what I mean? It's literally, it's my problem. If I,
so they come down on you.
and that happened to me multiple times. I'd have a soldier who had a domestic situation with their wife, and I had to talk to the sergeant major, and they were like, well, I mean, did you not know that any of this was happening? And I'm like, well, of course I fucking didn't. They're not fucking telling, he's not coming to work going, no, you should see how I laid into my wife last night. It's awful. But it's always your problem. It's always your responsibility. Even take away the just normal stress of like preparing people. No, I mean, just preparing people for fucking war. Like that's like the part that everyone's like, oh man, that must be stressful. And it is like the biggest stress. But you also have to think, you got nine people under you, and every single aspect of their life is your responsibility. It's your business. Yeah. It's extraordinarily stressful, especially, at a young age. I was 23 and I had 9 people under me. Some of them were older than I was. And I have to make sure that their rooms are clean or their houses are clean if they lived on post. I got to make sure that their finances are in order. I got to make sure that they're not.
We go.
Yeah, that. Okay.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry, on top.
I got to make sure that they're not having any, issues with their wives or paying their bills or like, and literally every aspect of their life is your responsibility. And that's extraordinarily stressful.
I think that's something that I didn't know that all those aspects were actually in the purview of
my job.
No,
yeah,
I never knew that.
Yeah.
I always knew that like if somebody does something like off base, it becomes an on base issue.
Oh, sure.
Something about like being married and having like a mistress or something like that. It's like grounds of like massive
repercussions.
Yeah. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like you can get discharged, completely kicked out for stuff that like any other job would be like, not a problem.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you remember the Vanessa Guillen story?
I don't know that this.
Vanessa Guillen was the girl on Fort Hood that went missing, and then they ended up finding her and she was murdered.
I remember hearing about Fort Hood, but I didn't pay any attention to that. That was like during like what, 2020, 21?
Yeah, around there.
Yeah. I see you remember, but there was a lot of other stuff going on during that time too. Like I didn't know if I could go outdoors or not. I didn't know like, what
that's true. There was
what a facial apparatus I was allowed to wear or not wear.
There was some other shit going on.
Yeah,
for sure. No, yeah. So I remember that story.
Yeah.
And then I remember just seeing like the news, and they were constantly talking about how like she was like a victim of sexual harassment in her unit and stuff like that. And I had always thought that because just from what I saw on the news that she was like killed because to cover up like her leadership harassing her or something along those lines. Wow. That's what I had always thought, because that was just kind of what they were hammering out on the news. And then I watched this documentary. They did 2 of them. One of them was on Netflix. One of them was on Hulu. I believe it was the Hulu one that I saw. They tell the actual story, which is she was dealing with sexual harassment from her leadership, by the way. Don't get me wrong on that. But the murderer was a guy who was in her unit who was having sex with another soldier's wife. And it wasn't just they were having sex, they were having like a full-on relationship.
That is not good.
Yes. And he had very little connection to Vanessa Guillen at all. They didn't really know each other. They were just kind of in the same unit. He not only murdered her, he then called this other soldier's wife that he has this relationship with, and they tried to dispose of the body together. So what they think happened is that she unknowingly stumbled upon something that she wasn't supposed to, like their relationship. He was like, you gotta go. And he just made an impulse decision and like took her out.
Did he ever admit to it?
No, so he ended up, I can't remember if he committed suicide by cop or killed himself, but they knew that he was the top, like they pretty much knew that he had done it.
And number one,
right.
this guy.
And instead of fucking actually really detaining him, they fucking put a couple of privates in charge, or not in charge, but they were like, hey, privates, watch this guy, and he does not leave the room. And then the guy figured out what was going on, figured out he was about to get in trouble, took the fuck off, and then like either committed suicide by cop or killed himself. They did get but the woman that helped dispose of the body ended up saying basically that that's what happened, that like she
was the accomplice.
Yeah,
and she admitted
basically that she had seen like a text message and or a picture or something, and that he was like, he just decided that he was going to kill her, and then called her to like help him out. You know, the level of, that's my exact point, is the level of severity that they take things like adultery, especially amongst military families, is to the point where people have literally murdered each other for it.
That's insane. That's just insane.
Yeah. Although I guess, to be fair, I mean, a lot of people have been murdered in the civilian world for
less
adultery.
Yeah.
And for less. Like, yeah.
Just walking down the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The only time I ever really care about military stuff, like when it's in the news, is if it deals with these 3 specific letters. So it's the U, and it ends with an O.
UFOs?
Absolutely. That's the only time my ears perk up. I'm like, oh, Congress is talking about UFOs. Let's do this.
They're out there.
There's also some other crazy stories. Now, did you ever go to Iraq or anything like that?
Iraq? I went to Afghanistan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew someone who went to that full, like, he was like in that early unit. Yeah, one of the first salons I worked at, he worked at the place right next to the salon, right? So you see each other, like, you know, passing or whatever,
yeah,
or not, and pop in or whatever. Like, if I had a break, I'd like pop in, like, what up, dude? You know, that kind of thing. So funny. He told me this random thing once. He goes, let me just tell you, we found no WMDs. This is what he told me. I was like, really? He goes, no. He goes, well, we found stuff. And it's all you would say. Fast forward to now, in the wonderful world of Facebook and Reels, where they have those suggested things.
Yeah.
And one of the Reels was talking about, why did we really go into Iraq? And they said that there was apparently a bunch of antiquities. Said one of the first places destroyed was like the museum, which actually said has some of the oldest relics in the world. And there's like all this rumors about like that, you know, Saddam had realized he actually had like an actual Stargate. Like these are science fiction things and rumors. And I'm not friends with this person. Like I have no way of contacting him through social media. I don't know where he went, but I want to be like, I want to shake him and be like, dude,
tell me,
was it a Stargate?
Yeah.
That's all I keep thinking about. I don't know why that ping pong in my head. Oh yeah, UFOs and military. That's all I care about, is like that kind of stuff.
I don't really follow much anymore. You know, I've been following, you know, the stuff with like Russia and Ukraine, because I actually have friends that, you know, were out and went and like made the right connection, because there's a lot of foreign civilians who went to Ukraine to help fight. I know people who were over there fighting.
Oh wow.
Some of them still are. And over there, you know, helping the Ukraine, and which is, I mean, somehow a controversial opinion in the world of politics.
I stay out of,
you know, yeah. I mean, I don't really get involved with that stuff either. The only reason I've been following it is because I have friends over there. Like as far as like military stuff and politics now, it's like I just it's too much stress for me, and a lot of it's unneeded stress. You know what I mean?
I agree, and I'm very much like you. I really only pay attention to anything if there's a personal connection. Like if I have a friend in a particular city where something's going on, then I ask. I usually just always reach for somebody I know versus a good news thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's well, that's the problem, is that there there are few good news things to quote your terms.
Yeah, there's
But
just not like a lot of good things to even care about.
there's not a lot of objectivity when it comes to the important stuff either. I actually say when it comes to important stuff, there's even less subjectivity.
Yeah, it's like the important stuff doesn't even like get on half the time.
Yeah. I remember, dude, one time I was house sitting for a friend of mine, and like dude, I haven't had like a cable. I mean, I don't know if people, I don't even know if cable still exists, but I think the closest I've experienced lately is like Apple TV. So I'm house sitting for a friend of mine, and this was while the impeachment procedures are going on. I was just curious because I know how biased news stations are, right? All. But yeah, no, they all have a fucking goal. All are biased. Yeah, but I was just curious, like while the impeachment proceedings were going on, I was like, I wonder what Fox News is talking about, right? Because they don't want to talk about it. Clearly, I was just like it was just a curious thought that I had of like when all of this is going on, what could Fox News possibly be talking about to get people to not think about the impeachment proceedings, right? I have this thought, and I'm using the Apple TV, and Tucker Carlson is on Fox News in this time, whatever time slot that is.
No idea.
And so I click on it just to see like what are they talking about, and I swear to God, the story that Tucker Carlson was covering was cheese. Is it or is it not good for you? And I was like, they could not have picked the most, and
Cheesiest thing.
the cheesiest thing. And they had Brett Favre on to talk about like, are these liberals just trying to convince us that cheese is bad? And even Brett Favre is like, I don't make cheese. I just lived in Wisconsin for a while. What the fuck do you want to talk about? It was the most, I don't know,
Any connection to Brett Favre?
because he was the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers.
Which makes him an expert on cheese.
Exactly. Dude, I laughed so fucking hard, and I called a buddy of mine, and my friend that's in the Ukraine right now, actually, like, cause he's a super political guy, and I called and told him that story, and we had like a really good laugh because I've never seen I've never seen like covering or not covering up, but just complete dismissal of major things that are happening to protect your own brand like I had just witnessed. Like they couldn't even find any like good stories. Like there's literally nothing else, like no good possibly. Yeah, not
Like where there's two crazy large things going on. It's like
we're just like, yeah, like, listen guys, we're talking about cheese tonight, and that's just get ready, get Brett Favre on the phone, make sure he's in.
I was wondering, do you ever were there any jokes from when you were like a teenager
That I still tell him.
that not that you still tell that you've that have matured along the way with you? You go, you know what? Like there's like a bit, but I just can't really figure out how to like work it.
Not really, to be honest. Like I don't remember most of my material from that time.
I mean, it's not like you're able to really just record things either because recording devices.
Back then, I had like an actual camcorder, and it had like cassette tapes.
Yeah, to really play those.
Yeah, exactly. And I wouldn't even know what happened to those. But yeah, I like I've tried to remember jokes. In fact, like some of my friends who were around at that time, every once in a while I'll be like, oh dude, Yeah, like a guy with a suit that's just like you and me that still has the balls to try to take on somebody like Thanos that I'm like, I like that. Like a Thor that this, immortal god.
Yeah.
Then like, is it really that intense for you? Is it as scary for you to go into that as it is for Tony Stark or Bruce Wayne? You know what I mean?
I've always actually shared that same thing. Like my favorite superhero has always been Batman because billionaires are real.
Yeah, that's true.
Like billionaires exist.
Yeah.
And it does seem with the more zeros attached to that person's account,
Yeah.
the more eccentric they are as well. Like look, we have Bezos
I was gonna say,
and Musk.
can you imagine Bezos or Musk in like a fucking superhero costume?
One of them already looks like Lex Luthor.
They both look like villains.
One of them could be more of a Tony Stark, and the other still is a little bit more Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
And I am kind of showing my alliance of who I'm siding with on this one.
Yeah.
So gadgets exist, billionaires exist, and eccentric people exist.
Yeah.
Funny enough, the eccentric billionaires are creating gadgets. So to me, it's just like,
Right.
like
It makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
it totally.
Yeah.
But my favorite comic book was always Spawn
Okay.
because that was dark. It's really
Yeah.
One thing you'll know is like I'm like the most optimistic person on the planet, Mr. Happy-go-lucky. But the stuff I like, the art, the music, it's just all dark stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because that's not who I am naturally. So like the rest is like a balance, same thing. It's like an old tale. This guy makes a deal with the devil.
Mm-hmm.
The deal is not the way it actually is.
Yeah.
He didn't read the fine print, right?
Right.
I feel like that's a movie that has just never been told correctly. It was one movie and it was not that great.
I mean, I rewatched it somewhat recently. I would say within the past year or so, and I remember still enjoying it. Yeah, but I mean, obviously, yeah, especially like today. And as a matter of fact, I think they do plan on redoing Spawn.
They wanted to cast Jamie Foxx as the person I always thought that would be, to me, the most intimidating person to play Spawn would be Idris Elba.
Yeah.
That dude.
Oh, that's a good call.
Like he should be Spawn. Like he's physically built.
No, you're absolutely right. Like I love
Jamie Foxx is a great actor.
Love Jamie Foxx. But at the end of the day, he's still so likable.
Yes.
He's still so
likable as shit.
Yeah.
Idris Elba said he was likable, but he reminds me.
Have you seen The Wire? I mean, he can play an evil, scary fucking guy.
Idris Elba has what I call like that James Gandolfini. 1 minute he's smiling and it's friendly. Yeah. And the slight change of his face, he's like, but I'll break your neck if you need to. Like he's a great actor.
Yeah.
And
no, Idris Elba's fucking incredible.
Okay. Though, like I just want him to be Spawn 100%. Like if I could tell Todd McFarlane anything, I'd be like, Todd, get Idris Elba and film it like the way they filmed 300. Where it's like this weird mix of like CGI and people.
Yeah.
Because at least make the parts where he's in hell like that.
Yeah.
Like that was Zack Snyder needs to get involved on that shit.
Man, we were talking about Batman and Superman movies and stuff. Dude, the Zack Snyder cut, it was the first time I had given a shit about the future of the Batman series. And
you mean the long one, the Batman vs Superman one?
The Justice League Zack Snyder cut.
I've not seen that.
Okay, so I mean, I saw the original Justice League. I fucking hated it. It's dog shit. I'm telling you, go watch the Snyder cut. It's way longer. They redid a lot. They reshot a lot of scenes. They redid a lot of CGI. I mean, it's hard to imagine, but it does feel like a completely different film. And he did such a phenomenal job. And then I found out that Zack Snyder wasn't going to be doing anything else with that series. And I was like, well, now I'm back to not caring.
I don't have any interest to watch any Superman movies because Henry Cavill or whatever his name is, they X'd him out. And like
that's true. Yeah.
I'm like, this is like the best physical specimen, great acting chops, just right. Like DC needs to like realize they're not Marvel.
Yeah.
There's like the joke, Marvel is lights, camera, action.
Yeah.
DC is camera, action.
Yeah.
It's dark in it. Superman is the only glimpse of happiness in almost any of the characters. And everything with DC is dark.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, stop trying to be Marvel. Like, pave your own road. Like, a dark comic company.
Yeah. And I mean, they brought James Gunn in to take over, who did phenomenal things with Guardians of the Galaxy and a lot of other movies. But if they're trying to bring him in to just, like you said, just do Marvel with DC characters, it's gonna. I mean, I don't know how it's gonna turn out.
Yeah, I'm not going to be, I can't imagine it being what I want.
You're right.
You know, I mean, like what I want is not, I don't want Disney in DC.
Yeah.
And somehow they were always able to somehow sell Batman as a wholesome character. Like, here's a superhero who watched his parents get murdered.
Mm-hmm.
It's like right there off the bat, like that's not happy.
Like, you know, I will say, like, I really enjoyed the Batman, the new Robert Pattinson Batman.
Favorite Batman outside of the Nolan trilogy.
Yeah.
I want that to be explored because to me, it went like a comic book. Each hour was an issue.
Yeah.
First hour. And it got back to what Batman to me was originally about, which is a detective.
Yes.
He's not a superhero.
Yeah.
He's a detective who knows how to fight and some gadgets. And I loved how lo-fi the gadgets were.
Yeah.
And how about everything had this like green and red, like military intel, glowy stuff. The Christopher Nolan stuff was just an amazing,
Incredible,
great trilogy.
Yeah.
But like that lives in its own universe to me.
Yes.
I think moving forward, whatever they've done with the Batman, I have my reservations about Patterson as well.
Yeah. This kid did amazing.
And you know, the actor in that was, and like so practical. Like even the Irish guy who's in, who played Penguin.
Oh, Colin Farrell. Phenomenal. I didn't even recognize him.
Didn't even recognize him. It's like he did like a Gary Oldman. Like,
yeah.
Gary Oldman? Like,
yeah. It was so fucking good. And I think, and you know, they're about to do a sequel for Joker, which
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
I hope they bring Joaquin Phoenix into the world of the Batman.
I would love that as well.
That would be the best.
The other thing that I'm, but the only reservation I would have with that is that the Joker movie was a story about mental health more than it was like a villain introduction, or what's the word I'm looking for? I'm having a brain fart.
It was like his nemesis.
No, but the origin. Yeah, it was it was way more of a story about mental health than it was a villain origin story. And I
10 times darker because of that.
Yes. And that movie is just absolutely incredible. I genuinely have a hard time picturing that same character in that same world and actually introduce villain shit, like actual superhero shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I do. I get it.
It was, it was a really deep, well thought out, dark film that just so happened to feature a famous superhero villain, right? It was so much more than a villain origin story that I'm worried about what they're going to do with a second.
I just can't believe that the guy who filmed The Hangover is the one who directed that.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I mean, you want to talk about, like, when I say talent, not like nobody doesn't have talent, but the width of that talent. Going from doing one of like the most iconic comedies that came out in the early 2000s, like still hysterical to this day, to the Joker.
Yeah.
I mean, that right there is like, wow, look at the ability.
Yeah. Why look at the range. Adam McKay, who did Step Brothers, also did The Big Short and Vice.
Hang on. Dogs.
What are they barking at?
I don't know.
They heard something else. I bet you're none too pleased.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's the UPS stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We just have to find.
Speaking of superhero villains,
like, yeah, I agree with you. Like the Joker, the way it was about mental health, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people got that. A lot of the write-ups are saying like it was like basically how society abandons people who are crying out for help in a lot of ways.
Right.
Because we're far too often, I feel like we're kind of going like, if you were to tell me like, I have these thoughts, I feel depressed. I'm like, man, You're just having a bad day. You'll get over this.
It's not, yeah, and then the system itself that like this guy was on medication, he was prescribed a therapist. This was all government supported, and then one day they were like, "We're out of money. You're on your own." And that's when you see him start to fucking turn, and he starts to lose it.
Yeah.
And before you know, he's in his head in a totally different world than what is reality.
Oh yeah.
Which is, I mean, one of the scariest things, honestly.
Yeah.
As a comedian who also like struggles with depression and stuff like that, I saw that, I was like, fuck, I really hope that what I think is happening is happening. Like, it made me question. I was like, fuck, am I the Joker? Because like by the end of it, I was like, am I that fucking guy? Like, do I actually know what reality is? Like, it was crazy. But it was such a phenomenal movie. And it's going to be weird. Like, if they do try to take a spin where now he's just like trying to rob banks and shit, it's gonna be a lot harder to invest in.
No, I'm with you on that one. I think that like I'm curious to see where it goes.
Yeah.
I'm more curious to see where that goes than like another, who is it? Batman Ben Affleck.
Yeah, that was not.
Ben Affleck's a great actor.
I agree.
It's just I don't want him to be Batman.
I 100% agree.
Like direct Batman. That's fine. Direct Batman.
Yeah. You and Matt Damon
direct make about Batman.
Yeah.
Like, do that. Like,
yeah.
But I think that whole crew should just stay intact. Like they should just kind of leave that whole thing the way they left Christopher Nolan with. They have a system. Like let's leave it.
Yeah.
How's there?
Dude, you did an amazing job once again. I absolutely love it.
And then I saw those photos of like your inspiration.
Oh,
and you're actually closer to this now.
Yeah.
Than when we were the first time, because this wasn't as long.
Right.
And this was still like needing to grow.
We had a lot more length to play with today.
Yeah. Like I barely, took much off. It wasn't about taking a lot off. It was about just leaving pieces. So took this shorter, again, I cut it dry with your curl because I want to see where your hair moves.
Yeah.
Curly hair doesn't revert back to the same place every day.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if I do it when I'm really exact. It's never going to be exact.
Yeah.
You'll actually get more consistency cutting with the flow.
Right.
Than against.
No, you did an amazing job, man. I'm always impressed, dude.
No, I appreciate it. And I always like the conversations. You have your comedy thing that you recorded.
Yep.
Is that like for release yet? Or how am I releasing it?
So I'm going to
start pressing some CDs again. Cassette tapes, vinyl. Yeah,
vinyl might be cool.
Vinyl might be cool. Yeah.
No, the plan is to do the full video on YouTube and then also do the audio on like iTunes and all the other audio platforms. So yeah, Ben Horn, Rockstar in quotations is
there like I know your Instagram is what? Ben Horn?
At the Ben Horn.
Okay, so it's at symbol the Ben.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Ben Horn.
And your website is
I have a link tree that's
but no website yet.
No website yet. No. I'm not dude, and honestly, I'm so bad about even updating what I do have, like I have a link tree that's like got fucking supposed to have all my show dates. I didn't even update it before I went on tour. I was just like, I'm struggling with just posting enough content, let alone like getting like every show that I get booked on. It's, I got to get better about it. I got to just accept it's
not easy because I feel the same way. Right.
Yeah.
And like right now I'm not posting content that I probably should post. It's an hairdresser on social media, but I also know that like the amount of content I'm filming right now for podcasts, like I did this not to film content, but I got into this for a much longer game of sharing my love of conversation here together. Right. This is like my hobby.
Yeah. And you're so good at it. Your conversation is
just way
always flows.
But
I just want to be invited back.
Well, you've been invited back.
Yeah, that's yours. I already did it. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Let's get out of here.
Okay.